Coming to you from beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona, this is the Drinking Horn Meadcast. Join us as we take a deeper dive into mead and mead culture. Well, howdy everybody. Guess what? You just found another episode of the Drinking Horn Meadcast. Awesome. This is the second part of the creation of the Mead Hall. So we're doing a series, a 3-part series, and this just happens to be part 2. The first part was Genesis of an Idea, and you can go back if you want. Do it, don't do it, I don't know, I'm not your dad. But you can go back and listen to the first episode and hear the genesis of the idea, how the idea came about to create this Mead Hall in downtown Flagstaff. This episode, however, is going to be all about the build out. So it's going to be hammers and city permits and all that kind of stuff. So I sat down with Evan again, co-owner of Drinking Horn Meadery, to talk about all the ins and outs of the build out process. And that is still going on right now. So there, in part 3, could be some more to this. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. It's really easy to do, but it does a huge favor for us in getting us out in front of other people. Now, we start this episode out with some freestyle rapping, some beatboxing. It's just our style. We never promised that this wouldn't be a crazy, fun, wacky, weird, sometimes eyebrow-lifting kind of Meadcast. That's what it is. So I just wanted to warn you. But you know where that skip forward button is, 30 seconds. If you want to tap that, fine. I mean, I'll cry just a little bit, but yeah. So hope you enjoy this episode. I think we talked about a lot of great stuff, and I will stop jabbering because I want you guys to get right into it. So thanks again. Peace.
Well, my name is Grover, and I'm here to say I like Big Bird in a major way. He's a big bird, and one someday he will make my Thanksgiving day. I put him in a big old oven, then I'm gonna eat him with some forks and lovin'. Stuffing. Yeah.
Nice and clean. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. Nice and clean.
Welcome to another episode of the Drinking Horn Meadcast. I hope you enjoyed that. I think they did.
I think so. I mean, who wouldn't enjoy that?
I don't know. You threw some woo in there.
Yeah.
I mean, we went from Sesame Street
to woo.
What?
It's a normal transition.
You know what they say?
Normal.
They say Wu-Tang is for the children.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I wish we could talk about current events. The whole Sesame Street thing that's going on right now.
It's crazy.
But, yeah.
All right. The whole world's gone crazy.
The whole world has gone crazy, including us, because we are drinking some delicious mead. I don't know what's crazy about that.
Maybe the time of day we're recording. Who knows?
Yeah, it's 8:30 a.m. Not actually, that's whatever.
8:45.
You and I both know
It's plenty late.
that there's no limit on time for drinking.
No.
There's good ideas and bad ideas. Okay?
Truth.
You could make a bad idea. Bunk. Way to be a good podcast host, Nick, and punch the freaking microphone. There can be bad ideas at 8:30 in the morning to drink. There can be bad ideas at 11:30 p.m. to drink.
Like tequila sunrise. That's a bad idea.
Oh, yeah. Bad idea is I forgot to turn on the camera. So why don't you tell a little story about a man named Ted while I get going?
Well, so I first met Ted in the middle of a rainstorm back in 1997. The night was dark. The clouds were hanging low over the streets with the yellow light reflecting off the wet pavement. I saw him. I walked by. Didn't say anything.
And then he fell off a cliff and died.
Yeah.
All right, we got the camera going. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
no.
oh, do you like that?
No,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
like that noise at all. Yeah, take that twist tie off of there.
Why is there twist ties on everything
We've
I
lost
own?
everybody but 2 listeners now.
The twist tie
My
fans.
mom and your mom.
Yeah. Yes. So what do we got 2?
Yes, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
All this is worth it. All right, say hi to the camera. Hi, camera.
Hi, camera.
Hi, camera. What are we drinking?
We're drinking plain traditional mead. I say plain because it just has honey, yeast, water. It's the only ingredients that go into it. No sulfites, no fruit, no herbs, no spices. None of that chaos. Just honey, yeast, water. Nice little orange blossom honey that leaves a little citrus flavor as well as a little bit of floral going on in there. Delicious.
Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So if any of you guys out there enjoy traditional mead from Drinking Horn or traditional mead from anywhere else, I hope you might be sipping on that right now. Unless you're listening to this while driving.
Yeah, then we hope you're not sipping on it.
Yeah, we hope you're chugging it.
Yeah.
Get rid of the evidence. Oh, God, did I just condone drinking and driving?
And throw the bottle out the window.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. None of the views by Nick are actual views of Drinking Horn and should not be taken seriously.
Nor my views.
Oh, yeah, or that guy.
Or this one.
Cool. So we're here to talk. We should get into what we're going to talk about.
Probably. That was quite the intro.
Yeah, that was. We're talking about the creation of the Mead Hall. So This is part 2 of the Mead Hall creation. In part 1, if you haven't listened to it, you can go back. I think they're pretty separate, but you can go back and listen to the genesis of an idea. It was how the whole idea started. Evan told us about went all the way back actually to the beginning of this meadery here on Grant Street and how the focus started to move a little bit, maybe not even focus, but some of the ideas started to expand into tap room, tasting room, and eventually the Mead Hall. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that in the last episode, had a lot of good laughs, some good talk about that. We learned a lot. We learned, we laughed, we cried. I just cried because I smashed my funny bone. And so now part 2 is going to be about the build-out process. Construction. So I think I'm maybe calling it like paint, hammers, and honey. Or something like that.
I like paint, hammers, and honey.
Yeah, not all mixed together. Edit point. Cool. So let's just start off with the building itself. So can you explain a little bit about the building, like where it is, and some of the history?
Yeah. So this is one of the coolest things. It's right on Route 66.
Ow!
The historic Route 66. And it's an extremely old building. It was the folks that currently own it. It was like his great-grandmother that actually built the building.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Maury?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so she actually built it. Like there's somewhere 100, 120 years-ish old, depending on how you look at which parts and stuff. She was that
old and building buildings still?
No. Oh, my gosh, that would be awesome. I mean, I'm going to be like 180 and still like doing backflips, but
yeah, of course.
Sure of it. I've treated my body so well. Yeah, so it was Maury's family that built it way back in the day. It used to be arranged a little bit differently. They've kind of switched around walls periodically and stuff like that. But it's really, really cool building. During some of the build out, we've been finding all kinds of interesting things in the ceiling.
Yeah,
old Schlitz bottles and stuff like that, and old Pepsi bottles that still have like the cardboard. Or not cardboard,
cork.
The cork, the cork top in there on the crown cap.
Yeah.
Pretty nifty. There's like old milk cartons from like a Flagstaff dairy. I don't even know when that closed down.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if we could dig up some of that history.
Yeah, we should.
A little bit.
That's another episode.
Stay tuned for another episode of the Meadcast where we talk about really exciting stuff like the history of milk production in Flagstaff.
Weird shit found in the ceiling.
That's a better title. So it's this old building.
Super old. And it's funny, I told myself, I was like, seeing the hassle that other people have trying to renovate historic buildings, I was like, I'm never going to do that. That's a dumb idea. Because it's a lot of extra work and a lot of extra money, extra fees on every single permit that you have to get. Because like in downtown Flagstaff, you have to have permits to paint your sign and permits to build and permits to demo and permits for everything. So it being a historic building definitely complicates those kind of things, as well as like there's always stuff in certain historic buildings like, all right, you can't touch this here ceiling. This is historic. And it's kind of interesting. We label things as historic just because they were built during a certain time. And like, man, those materials might have just been all that was available. There's nothing fancy to them.
So you've gotten all these permits that you've had to put through. Do you have a number in your head of how many permits it actually was?
I think somewhere in the realm of 7 right now. because you have to get new business license, either that or if you have a nice local government, then you can just add it on to a website and it's real super simple. Or if you're in Flagstaff, they make it as difficult as possible. You have to fill out lots of paperwork, send it in paper copies in multiples of 8 or something like that. But it's yeah, and then you have county health licenses, you have business licenses, we have the alcohol license, and then all the building permits. And so you have sign permits to change signs, you have building permits to build, demolition permits so you can get started on demo. So it's a handful. It's a lot of paperwork. Business is always a lot of paperwork, though, it seems like especially in this day and age, no matter what you're doing, there's a ton of paperwork involved. And you just have to figure out processes of how to take care of it all and how to find stuff. Get real good at using your local resources, people that have already been through these kind of things before. It's always helpful to reach out to folks and get a helping hand. The worst they can say is no. You might as well reach out.
Yeah, and I think most people are perfectly willing to help out. And that's something I think the people listening to this would be interested to know, is that when you are starting a business, a lot of times you might have it in your head, like, all I'm going to do is just, make mead and people will buy it. And like, that's it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. I don't even make the mead anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you run it, you turn into a paperwork factory in a sense.
Yeah.
There's way more that obviously that you do run around delivering and crazy stuff like that, but you have needed to create or recreate yourself in, say, like Charlie, back there making the mead, and do that so that you can focus on these other things. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the not historic, but the sign permit, because you couldn't just do your own thing and just slap your own sign up there.
No, not at all. It takes 2 separate permits to get the sign permit. You have to go through the Historic Preservation Commission or whatever, and then you have to go through the City of Flagstaff Sign Permitting Committee. And so the landowners there took off the old facade that was the previous business that they had up there, to get down to the historic facade on the front. Facade is a word I had to learn. So if you don't know what it is, go Google it or use your own search engine of favorite choice.
Bing? Is there something at Yahoo?
Oh, I hate Bing. It's terrible. Anyway, so when they took off that facade, there was a Joe's Place. Was what was there before the saddle shop. So, that was 80 years ago, something like that. At least, the previous folks were in there for almost 60 years, something like that. This place didn't even have a water heater when we got into it. It was a little on the rough side. So they uncovered, they took off the facade. They have this big Joe's Place sign, which is far beyond, Flagstaff downtown has limits on how big of a sign you can have. And it's in relation, I believe, to the amount of your storefront that faces the street. Some sort of equation like that. And so this sign is way bigger than they would normally allow, but they're allowing us to do this ghost sign thing where we leave up some of the white background that was already up there for Joe's Place and put our Mead Hall with our company's logos, with Drinking Horns logos on either side of Mead Hall, which was kind of an interesting choice too. We decided to name it you know how simple we try to be around here with our simple meads and our simple ideals, I guess, is calling it, it'd be like starting a restaurant and calling it restaurant.
Yeah.
It's Mead Hall. But when you're the first, you can get away with a few things like that. There's no others in town yet, so we're safe.
I didn't know what a Mead Hall, I didn't know there was such a thing as a Mead Hall. And so that's a cool little education point, and it's going to be point blank right up there. Boom, up on the top.
They're community places. They're community places, which I think is something we touched on before briefly. We actually got invited to a wedding. Some folks had bought some of our mead for a wedding, and we got invited to it, my wife and I. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. It's a little awkward for me. I'm just like, oh, hi, everyone. I'm the guy that sells the mead. That's me. And they're some of my favorite customers for sure, but it was a little strange. And then I guess the bride-to-be came into the tap room here one day, and she had her pastor had bailed on her. She didn't have anybody to serve, so on and so forth. And just talking about it here in the tap room, she found a couple of guys, one of our employees and another guy, to help her out for the day and make sure everything got through and finished all right. And so it was really cool to see that, like, that it really is a community space, you know. And come on in, share some news, see what you need, see what somebody else needs. That's what we want it to be.
Nice. Awesome. Nice. That's a great way of thinking about it going in. Not just a place to, you know, sell your hooch,
right?
But a place for people to come in and talk and figure things out. That's one good thing I like to see in, you know, say breweries or whatever, is people coming in and having little meetings. You know, they sit down, they grab a beer, or in this case a mead, and they talk over some paperwork that they need to talk over.
Better talk through it in the first 2 meads, otherwise you're gonna forget all that stuff.
Very true. Yeah. And speaking of sitting down in your place in the Mead Hall, when you first looked at the building, can you kind of walk us through figuring out how to set it up, like the planning and the layout of the place?
Shots in the dark.
Oh.
So it's, I mean, it really is, like, we looked at a lot of other bars and tried to kind of figure out what sort of a flow you need to have between people using dishwasher or using the triple sink and serving and using the register, and tried to come up with a space that was both like efficient as well as look good, you know. So you had to you got to hit both those.
Did you have someone designing with you, or was it just you and Kelly?
Kelly and I pretty much had the design of it. We had to use an architect, of course. A good architect is worth it. Especially when trying to get plans through any sort of city government or local government. Definitely want to have all those fancy blueprints. And so they helped us with it. But a lot of it was, you know, they're like, all right, where do you want this? And you get to kind of like, oh, okay. And you try to think through all these things really, really fast. Like the lighting. We're currently still kind of going through it with the lighting, because it's like, all right, we can say on a plan what we think it's going to look like, and then we can get some light bulbs and see what we think it's going to look like. But until you get everything up in there, it's going to be hard to tell, like, exactly what are your needs for stuff. So you have to also, like, plan on going back. It's not a once through and done. It's going to be a work in progress for a while, even after it's open.
Yeah, and that's got to be slightly nerve-wracking, I would think, to not know and make a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we found in business, in small business, we end up doing this a lot, where it's like, all right, especially with this, where there's no like preset blueprint on how to go about getting to where we want to go. Sometimes you have to just kind of, you take an educated guess, really, and just sort of see. It's a sort of, and plan on change, plan on that pivot, just like we did here with wanting to do wholesale. And then it was like, all right, retail might, you know, also work out, and then pivoting again into the Mead Hall. And just, you have to be able to be flexible with your idea, because it's not about what you want. It's about like how to make the business function. You know, if we were only going to make meads that Evan liked to drink, we'd only have one flavor and everyone else would cry about it and I wouldn't care. But it's all about catering to everyone. Everybody's got a very, very different palate. So in this business, like, that's what we're shooting for, is trying to reach as many palates as we possibly can with a wide variety of flavors. And you just have to be willing to pivot to make that work.
Yeah, and to balance that with, I'm thinking about how the Mead Hall will look and what you and Kelly want it to look like, and then getting ideas from other people. You can't just take everybody's idea and make it work.
No.
And then there's some that are probably, you know, I don't know, terrible ideas. But there is a balance. You know, someone doesn't come in here and say, I want a habanero, spinach, carrot, peppercorn mead, and you're like, no. But then someone might take some ideas off that. Anyway, what I'm basically getting at is, you balance what you want with what other people want, and to build in flexibility, I think, is really hard to do.
Yeah.
But after running a business for as long as you do, a small business, you're kind of already ready to do that. Like, even if you didn't build in the flexibility like it could have been, you're still going to make it happen. Because you're used to just making it happen.
Pretty much.
Oh,
right?
Those tables aren't going to work there, and those are too high or too big. Oh, well, we're going to build some new tables. And it becomes almost not even, I mean, it's always a big deal to redo stuff, but you're like, yeah, okay, it's not surprising me. You're
let's
not
figure it out.
Yeah, let's figure it out. Yeah.
That was, I think, one of the best pieces of advice that I got with the small business stuff before I started. And I think about it a lot still, is like, you're going to run into walls all the time. You're going to have problems with whatever. And like, all right, if you can't make it through the wall, like one way, try another way. Can you climb over it? Can you dig under it? Can you walk around it? Can you blow it up? Can you drive a truck through it? Like, I don't know. Whatever you need to try, you do. You end up trying it, because it's just, when it comes down to owning a small business, there's no one to blame anything else on but yourself, basically. So you got to figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, and you seldom have the ability to not make it work.
No.
Like, you have to get around that wall somehow. And so you can't just, say like, well, that didn't work, I guess we're going to leave that for later. No, you gotta take care of it.
Our next wall, possibly not being able to get glass because of the coronavirus shutting down shipping.
That's a big pivot.
That's a huge pivot.
That's not even a pivot.
It's in the back of my head a little bit.
That's like a parkour American Ninja Warrior jump over crazy things.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the reality, though, right? Of like the small... I have no idea what that was. But I want to watch Ninja Warrior now.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
But no, it is. It's like one of the, how's that going to affect things? Like, I have a probably slightly irrational fear right now that I'm like, well, we're going to get the Mead Hall open just in time for a pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, which, it's not all about me, but like, it's definitely a fear in the back of your head. You just got to try to think through possibilities.
Yeah, we were just having that discussion last night. My roommate Casey works for one of his clients is Giant Bikes, and a lot of their stuff comes from China, and so they're already making plans for pulling back on sales and releases and all these things, and so and then also I think what was the store? Oh, Peace Surplus was talking about taking some of the gear that specifically they know comes from China and taking it off the sale rack and putting it back and like kind of, hoarding it in a sense. So, it's being cautious. It's not being fearful, I don't think. Not yet. But it's crazy. It's funny that our struggles are not with the health issue of coronavirus, but with other issues that are affected by it.
Right? You know what my son was calling the coronavirus?
What's that?
It's shit, I almost forgot it. Oh, the boomer virus.
Oh God.
Because it only seems to be like, there's not a lot of like younger people that have died from it. Like it's mostly elderly that are dying from it. Elderly males too.
Huh.
Yeah. And so he was like, it's the boomer virus.
Well, if that's true, I'm just at the edge. So
right? You'll be all right. You'll be all right. It's like 60 plus.
So that was a great talk about the Mead Hall. Good little tangent. But having to pivot, having to move this, just one more thing, coronavirus with glass.
Right. Yeah. Just what's the next problem? How are you going to tackle it?
And we just went and got a ton of bottles.
A ton.
12,000.
So
more than a ton.
Actually, like 6 or 7 tons.
Yeah, of glass. So that could be a little bit of a savior for a while.
Totally. It really is, right? But that's in the back of the head is like, we got enough glass to last us somewhere around like 4 to 6 months, depending on how much we're doing between, because we bottle in 3 different sizes. We bottle right now anyway. We bottle half liters, liters, and kegs. So it's a whole mix of different things to get through. So it's a little tricky, but so hopefully it lasts us long enough. But it's like, it's only 4 months out, but if you don't start thinking about that kind of stuff early, at least pondering it over, then you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Were there any interesting inspirations when you were designing the build out for the Mead Hall?
A lot of video games. Like, I mean, that's what I was looking at as far as images. I don't get as much time to play video games this day and age as I would like to. But if you just Google Mead Hall and you think of like a lot of the Mead Halls, that when I just picture it, when you're thinking of like Beowulf or something like that, right? That's probably my first interaction with like a Mead Hall would be reading Beowulf. And it's just this awesome sort of like if you took a big wooden ship and turned it upside down and turned it into a drinking hall. And that's pretty much what it's going to be, this big soffit that runs down the center, and then these big posts and some big columns coming over and meeting the soffit. It's gonna look really cool in there. And the helmets, we're using helmets for lighting. You'll see. You'll see when you get in there.
What? Just a little tiny sneak peek, huh?
Just a tease.
Helmets for lights. All
Helmets for lights. It's going to be awesome.
Well, that's cool. Any other little tiny sneak peeks?
Not yet. No.
Yeah?
No.
All right.
We're gonna leave it hidden for now.
Cool. They're moving fast in there, it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The when last time we checked in, they already had the bar top, at least like the foundation of the bar, not the bar top, but the bar. What would you call that?
It's a pony wall.
The pony wall, yeah.
Right.
That will become the bar.
Yeah, it will become the bar. It's got a little bit of work still because our bar is going to end up being 31.5 inches wide. And so I've got a little figuring to do with the pony wall there to make sure it supports everything.
Huh.
But that's all right. We're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Once again, just problems to fix. And the tabletop's going to be, the bar top's going to be awesome. Same with the tabletops. We're making them all ourselves.
Yeah, that's another little tidbit, but I don't think you want to give away.
No, I'm not going to give away any more than that. Just you have to come in and see them. It's going to be sweet. Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears put into this place.
And some of it, a good amount of it by you personally.
Yeah. I do like to do a bit of woodwork. I'm getting a lot of help from friends and family that are a lot better at woodworking than I am. Just because I like it doesn't mean I'm all that great at it. I'm like, measure, why?
Measure twice, that's stupid. Measure
right?
0.
I'm not going to measure at all. I'm going to wing it. I close one eye, I can measure like nobody's business.
Yeah, nobody's business. No one does that.
No business would want me measuring for them.
Yeah. Oh, nice. A shout out to friends and family that are helping.
Yeah,
helping
absolutely.
out. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a community effort. It's going to be a community place, and it's going to be a community effort to get there. What do they say? It takes a village, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took a village to raise me. So.
Yeah. The village probably burned down.
Yeah, only twice.
Oh boy. Cool. So you walk in. You want to run us through a little bit of what we're going to see when we walk through the doors?
Yeah.
I mean, not specifically because you don't want to give away things, but like
lot
the setup
of
because
wood.
The downtown Flagstaff, a lot of the spaces are what we used to call shotgun. Like we call them shotgun bars.
Yeah.
Because they just go. They're like narrower and they go back pretty far.
And that's exactly. It's definitely a shotgun bar for sure. So it's only, I think it's 18 feet wide and 60 something feet long. Oh, hey, that's my contractor right there.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So we left off when you were explaining. I'd asked you what hand you had in the building process of the Mead Hall.
So I've been making tables, bar tops, bar facades. So it's like the finish on the front. That's it right there for now.
You said you did some painting too?
Oh yeah. I do a lot of painting.
Oh
yeah. I do a lot of painting. Yeah.
Green.
We'll do a lot of painting. I'll probably lay some tile. Hey?
Huh?
Yeah, I'll probably lay some tile too.
Right on. Yeah, hands on.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't touch electric or gas. Those are my rules.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
Well, that's my wife's rules anyway. But happy wife, happy life. I follow them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's keeping your life still here.
Yeah, for real. She's put a lot of stitches in me for sure. So.
Yeah, and electrical usually stitches don't.
No,
help with that.
It's not going to fix that.
No. Well, that's good to hear you're leaving the electrical to the professionals. So if people are wanting to get kind of involved in thinking about creating their own business, their own, say, like bar or something like that, it's something that is definitely should be out there that you're going to put a lot of your own work into. Oh, well, I guess small business wise, it's a good idea to put
all of your time and all of your money.
All right, boom.
Pretty much.
So it's a great idea to do.
It's a great idea.
We were just discussing before we came back on the difference between creating the place and getting it licensed and permit here at the initial production facility and doing it somewhere else. And so when you are creating a place where you're serving alcohol or creating alcohol too, you have to get an alcohol license. And in order to do that, you have to start paying rent and show that you have a space to do it, which has always been really weird to me that before you get a license to make your product, you have to start
paying
right off the bat. Yeah. In the negative.
Because that first, so you have to get 3 of them, right? You have to get a federal license from the TTB, you have to get a state license, and then you have to get a local license for your liquor licenses. And like usually the state and local is one thing if they're not jerks about it. Yeah. But and so for the federal one, like we were paying rent before we could even start on and they're sequential. You can't do them like all together. So you have to do one, then the other, because they each require a number from the previous one. And it took here like, I don't know, over a year to get our federal license. It was a long time of paying rent, but I was working by myself that whole time, so that also made it easier. We didn't have to worry about wages or anything like that. It was just me living in the back, building chiller systems and stuff.
Exactly, but not even producing the alcohol yet. You can't even start. You can't even turn on the turn on the process of the creation of alcohol until you get that permit.
Yeah,
but you can get everything set. So with this one, was there any differences?
It's taken a lot less time for all the permitting and stuff. I mean, we've had this place. We started. I guess I started paying rent like basically 4 months ago or so, and we're hoping we can be able to open in the next like month or two. So that's not too bad compared to here, where it was like we didn't start getting any sort of return at all for almost 2 years. Yeah, it was a long time. So that's kind of nice. In this state, they have like you can get, if you're a farm winery is what they call it, and you're an in-state producer, basically, they allow you to have 2 remote tasting rooms. So if this works out well, we have an easy-go license for another one. Because if you're just trying to get like a bar license, those are the ones, at least in Arizona, that it's done a limited number of them, and they're actually like you purchase it, so it is yours, and then you can sell them. So it's a commodity market for those other licenses, and they can get expensive.
Yeah, absolutely, and hard to find.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes they come with the building and the sale, and sometimes you have to go seek them out.
Yeah, alcohol's a lot. Like if you want to get into a business that has a shitload of rules, get into alcohol.
There you go. There's good advice there.
Because you have like production tax, and then you have sales tax, and you have like wholesale stuff, and excess tax or luxury tax. It's a lot of taxes to
luxury. Yeah, this is luxurious.
It is. Sure. It is. Don't you feel like we're in the lap of luxury right now?
In the lap. Yeah. Right there. Oh.
In my lap.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Mead kicking in with Nick and Evan again.
Woohoo!
Mead kicking in with Nick and Evan again.
That's when we would go do some kick-ass Viking shit.
Oh. Yeah.
I got a sword in my truck.
Sweet. Okay, well, that's the end of this podcast.
And we're out.
There was something you had mentioned, again, right before we came back from general contractor talk, about laying out kind of the process. I think you were saying you wanted to kind of talk to.
Because you got to think about like flow and everything. Like, what are people seeing immediately when they walk in, and where are you trying to funnel people to and away from? Because you want them to, you only have a limited amount of like space to sell behind the bar, so you need to be moving people through quick enough that it makes sense, and that it makes money. And so figuring out that and figuring out placement of everything behind the bar too, I think is pretty clutch, and we'll see if we did a good job or not, because it's that shooting in the dark kind of thing. Just trying to figure out like, all right, if they're serving a whole bunch or they're doing dishes, is this going to be crossing paths with whoever's doing whatever else? And just figuring out flow through, I think our bathroom placement will be interesting to kind of see the flow through going on there, because we only have one entrance and exit into this place, 50-person cap, so it's it's a lot of people. It could be.
Yeah, you got to think about that flow.
How they getting in? How they getting out? What are they doing while they're in there?
Those are the 3 things right there.
Yeah, we wanted to throw axes, but it's amazing how fast your insurance wants to drop you when you want to have a place where they can drink and throw axes.
What? That doesn't make any sense at all.
I know, right? I'm like, they go hand in hand, like mead in one hand, axe in the other.
They go, hand in hand, and then out of your hand, and then onto a piece of wood or something.
Just make sure you throw the axe, not the glass of mead.
Yeah.
We need barrels. Anybody out there just want to send us some barrels?
Yeah, send them in a self-addressed stamped envelope, too.
I wonder what we would get.
And, so speaking about the flow and serving people and where they're going to go, you guys are serving them mead, but what about food? Any space left for any kind of food options while they're there?
We'll have meat.
Meat. Okay, cool. Next question.
So there's a meadery next door to the Mead Hall that is proper meats and provisions, and they have some of the most amazing food ever. And so we're going to be serving their stuff. It'll be like a walk-up kiosk kind of thing, because we didn't want to cook our own food. Yeah. There's so many great restaurants in Flagstaff, and like manufacturing alcohol is hard enough. I think a restaurant is harder because you're still manufacturing. It's just on a lot shorter time scale and stuff, but with a lot higher maintenance. But anyway, so I think a restaurant is tough. So we just wanted to bring in food from next door, which is, it's a common model too these days. A lot of breweries will end up just bringing in, whoever's close by, having them walk it over or whatever. And so we'll have a little kiosk for them up on our bar, and you can just get a mead from us and order up a nice brisket sandwich from them and make it a nice, good, happy day. Maybe one day we'll get a little window so we can pass food through the window. But for now, they're just going to be walking in, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We kind of thought about that multiple ways too. And it's always good to have a little traffic, because then even if there's only one person in there ordering a sandwich, then it looks like there's that much more traffic or whatever going through. So
interesting.
Try to work it from every angle,
Yeah, that's an interesting little thought there. Yeah, so Proper Meats is well known here, very well known, and very well known for their foods. They're basically kind of, would they be, are they butcher? They're not really a butcher, right? Well, they do. They cut right in front of you there.
Yeah, they get their own animals and cut them up right in store. It's really pretty awesome because they have like that big front window on 66, and they'll just like cut up pigs and stuff in the window. It's it's pretty great.
Yeah, if you're a meat eater.
If you're a meat eater. If you're not, you might not want to walk by that window.
Yeah. So you'll have all their good food, probably do some specials, I would imagine, with them. For different, sandwiches or maybe like the turkey legs.
Turkey Leg Tuesday.
Grab some mead, grab your Viking friends, and sit there and gnaw on a turkey leg while slugging down some mead.
Right? Drink from a horn and a leg of turkey.
You are bringing the Norse Viking culture to downtown Flagstaff.
It's going to be fantastic. They had a lot of turkeys in Norway.
Yeah?
Yeah, lots of turkeys.
No?
Oh. Well, we just learned about the tropical island that's north of Norway.
Yeah.
North of Norway.
North even, yeah. It's the northernmost place in the world to have palm trees able to survive.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, and that was our Thirsty Thursday drink special this past week.
Yeah, we'll still have Thirsty Thursdays too.
Oh, good. I was going to ask that.
Yeah, because like here we're in light industrial zoning in Flagstaff, which means as far as alcohol goes, we technically can only serve mead in a 1.5 ounce or 2 ounce taster. And so we've managed to make that work here for a long time. But we're pretty excited for the next place, where you can do adult-sized cocktails. You can get a whole glass of it instead of just a taster. Yeah,
I'm really excited about the whole ability to have cocktails on the menu all the time, because these meads are great as mixers.
We're going to feature 2 each week and keep changing them, because that way it's something for your locals too, people that are coming back every week. It gets them something new, gives them a reason to come back in, as well as I just like, there's so many cocktails that I don't want to have this like gigantic list of 1,000 cocktails. No. So we're just going to feature 2. Take them or leave them.
It's going to be an awesome place to go hang out. It's going to be another great addition to the Flagstaff downtown, and some place where you're going to get a lot of foot traffic of people who are they may come for a brewery tour and then find you guys, and then all of a sudden they've fallen in love with mead.
Right.
So you've got a big responsibility going into downtown.
Yeah. It's pretty big for us going in down there. I mean, as far as Flagstaff, booze scene goes, it's pretty much the biggest step you can make. So it'll be scary, but it'll be something entirely unique. It's not another like industrial looking bar that's like just being a bar. Like it's gonna be pretty Viking in there.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. Well, I know you're going to take that responsibility of showcasing a new beverage to downtown Flagstaff, and you're gonna run with it, and you're gonna do amazing. I can't wait to see the place. And in Volume 3, Episode 3 of this Mead Hall creation, we'll be even further in, and we'll start to talk more about atmosphere, more about drinks, more about specials, because by the time we do that 3rd episode, it's gonna be go
open.
Time.
We'll be able to talk about the mistakes.
That'll be a little bit at the end. We'll talk about.
We like to call them learning points.
Yeah, there's no mistakes. There's just learning opportunities. Yeah,
lots and lots of opportunities for learning.
Nah, I don't think you'll have that many. You're going that well. So, all right, well, cool. That was awesome. Another one down, and I hope everybody out there is enjoying drinking Horn Mead. And if you're listening to this while you've already visited the Mead Hall, I hope those future visits are awesome and you're having a great time there. And don't forget to look at all the other episodes here with the Meadcast with me and Evan, you know, the calm, normal guys that are on your radio every day.
Perfectly normal.
As you can see. So cool. Thanks, Evan.
Skol.
So he is Evan Anderson.
I am Nicholas.
Skol.
Skol.